Billionaire walked in without warning. What his son and the maid's daughter were doing left him speechless. The black car pulled into the long driveway 3 hours early. Marcus Blackwood stepped out, his expensive shoes clicking on the stone path. He had not told anyone he was coming home today. Not his assistant, not the house staff, not even his son, Tommy. Marcus wanted to see what really happened in his mansion when he was not watching. For weeks, something felt wrong. The house seemed different. The servants acted strange. And Tommy, his wheelchair-bound son, barely looked at him anymore. Marcus whispered to himself as he walked to the front door. "I own everything in this house, so why do I feel like a stranger?" He turned his gold key slowly, making no noise. The huge mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Marcus loosened his tie and stepped inside, his heart beating fast. Something was happening here. He could feel it. Then he heard it. Laughter. Not the fake laugh Tommy sometimes made during his lessons. Not the polite giggle he gave his doctors. This was real laughter. The kind that bubbled up from deep inside. The kind Tommy had not made since the accident that took his mother and put him in that wheelchair. Marcus felt his chest grow tight. He followed the sound, walking faster and faster down the marble hallway. His hands started shaking. Was he dreaming? Tommy laughing like that? The laughter got louder as he reached the living room door. Marcus pushed it open and froze. What he saw made his blood turn to ice. There on the thick carpet was a girl about Tommy's age. She was crawling on her hands and knees like a horse, her long black hair bouncing as she moved. She wore a bright yellow dress that swished back and forth. And on her back, Tommy sat there holding onto her shoulders, bouncing up and down with the biggest smile Marcus had seen in 2 years. His son's eyes sparkled with pure joy. His cheeks were red from laughing so hard. "Faster, Luna, faster!" Tommy giggled, squeezing his legs around the girl's waist. But the thing that made Marcus's heart stop was what he saw in the corner. Tommy's wheelchair sat empty, forgotten, like it did not even matter. Marcus felt his face get hot. His hands turned into fists. Who was this girl? How dare she put his son in danger? What if Tommy fell and hurt himself more? The doctors had been very clear that Tommy needed to be careful. No rough playing, no risky movements. And here was this strange girl, probably the daughter of one of the servants, treating his disabled son like a toy. Marcus opened his mouth to yell, but then Tommy saw him. The joy on his son's face disappeared immediately. It was like watching a light switch off. Tommy's smile vanished, replaced by the blank, polite face Marcus had gotten used to seeing. "Dad?" Tommy's voice was small and scared. "You're home early." The girl, Luna, turned her head quickly. Her dark eyes went wide with fear. She carefully lowered herself down, helping Tommy slide off her back onto the carpet. Then she scrambled to her feet, her hands shaking as she tried to smooth down her yellow dress. Marcus could see the dress had patches sewn on it, places where it had been torn and fixed. "Mr. Blackwood, sir," Luna stuttered, her voice barely a whisper. "I am sorry. We were just playing. Tommy asked me to play, and I thought it would be okay. Please do not be angry." Marcus looked at the girl more carefully. She had the same black hair as Maria, the new maid who had started working 6 months ago. The same dark eyes. The same accent when she spoke. This must be Maria's daughter. Marcus had hired Maria because she was cheap and quiet. She did her work and never complained. He had not even known she had a child. "You are Maria's daughter," Marcus said, his voice cold and flat. Luna nodded quickly, tears starting to roll down her cheeks. "Yes, sir. I am sorry, sir. My mama told me to stay in the servants' rooms, but Tommy heard me singing one day and he asked me to come play. I could not say no because he looked so sad. Please do not fire my mama. She needs this job." "We need this job." Tommy pulled himself across the carpet toward his wheelchair. His arms were strong from months of exercise, but Marcus could see the effort it took. "Dad, it is not Luna's fault," Tommy said, his voice stronger now. "I asked her to play with me. She is my friend, my only friend. Do not fire Maria. If you do, I will never speak to you again." Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. His son, his only child, had just chosen a servant's daughter over him. When had this happened? When had he become the enemy in his own house? He walked slowly to one of the leather chairs and sat down. The anger was draining out of him, replaced by something else. Sadness, maybe, or guilt. "How long has this been going on?" he asked quietly. Tommy and Luna looked at each other. 6 months, Tommy finally said. "Since Maria started working here. Luna comes every day after school to wait for her mom. We became friends. 6 months. For half a year, his son had been playing and laughing with this girl, and Marcus had no idea. He thought about all the reports from the household staff. They always said Tommy was fine. Quiet but fine. Doing his exercises. Eating his meals. Nobody mentioned a friend. Nobody mentioned laughter. Nobody mentioned that his son had found happiness again. "Mr. Blackwood," a voice came from the doorway. Maria stood there in her maid uniform, her face as white as paper. "I'm so sorry. I told Luna to stay away from the family rooms. This is my fault. We will pack our things and leave right now." Maria moved toward her daughter, reaching for her hand, but Tommy's voice stopped her. "No," Tommy shouted. He had pulled himself into his wheelchair now, and he rolled it forward, putting himself between Maria and his father. "Dad, please. Luna is the only good thing in my life. She does not treat me like I am broken. She just treats me like Tommy." The word hit Marcus hard. Broken. His son felt broken. All the expensive doctors, all the special equipment, all the careful treatment had just made Tommy feel more damaged. But this girl in her patched yellow dress had given him something all of Marcus's money could not buy. She had given him normal friendship. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the perfect gardens, the swimming pool that had not been used since the accident, the tennis court where Tommy used to play before his legs stopped working. Everything perfect. Everything empty. Everything useless. "Tell me about Luna," Marcus said without turning around. "What do you two do together?" Tommy's voice got excited as he answered. "She teaches me Spanish words. I help her with math homework because she is terrible at numbers. We read books together and she does funny voices for all the characters. She brings me food her mom makes, real Mexican food, not the fancy stuff our cook makes. And she plays with me. Really plays. Not like the physical therapist who makes everything an exercise." Marcus turned back to look at the children. Luna had moved closer to her mother, but her eyes were on Tommy. The way she looked at him, it was not pity. It was not the careful way the nurses looked at him. It was just the way one friend looks at another. Real, honest, simple. "Luna," Marcus said, making his voice softer, "I owe you an apology." The girl's eyes went even wider. "Sir? You gave my son something I could not give him. You gave him joy. You gave him friendship. You reminded him he is still a 12-year-old boy, not just a patient." Marcus walked over to his son and did something he had not done in a long time. He knelt down so he could look Tommy in the eyes. "I am sorry, son. I have been so busy with work, so worried about your medical care, that I forgot you needed more than doctors and medicine. You needed a friend." Tommy's eyes filled with tears. "I miss Mom," he whispered. "She would have liked Luna. She would have invited her to eat dinner with us, not made her hide in the servants' quarters." Marcus felt his own eyes burning. Catherine, his wife, would have done exactly that. She would have seen this lonely girl and immediately made her part of the family. She always saw people, not just employees. That was one of the things Marcus had loved about her, and one of the things he had forgotten after she died. "You're right," Marcus said. "Your mother would be upset with me for how I've been running this house. Maria, Luna, please sit down. We need to talk." Maria looked confused but moved forward slowly, sitting on the edge of the sofa like she might need to run at any moment. Luna sat beside her, still looking scared. "Maria," Marcus began, "I hired you 6 months ago and I never even asked if you had children." "That was wrong of me." Maria's hands twisted in her lap. "Mr. Blackwood, you are a busy man. Important man. You do not need to know about your servants' personal lives." "But that is where I was wrong," Marcus said. "You are not just servants. You are people. People with families and stories and struggles. Maria, tell me about yourself. Where are you from? How did you come to America?" Maria looked surprised but slowly began to speak. "I am from Oaxaca, Mexico." My husband died 5 years ago. Cancer. The medical bills took everything we had. I came to America because I wanted Luna to have better opportunities. In Mexico, I was a teacher, but here my credentials mean nothing. So I clean houses. It is honest work, and it pays for our small apartment and Luna's school supplies. Marcus felt ashamed. He paid Maria minimum wage, the same he would pay any maid. But this woman was a teacher, an educated person who had given up everything for her daughter's future. And her daughter had given his son back his smile. "Luna, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Marcus asked. Luna looked at her mother, then answered quietly. "I want to be a doctor, sir. I want to help people who are hurt like Tommy, but I know it is probably impossible. Medical school costs too much money." "Nothing is impossible," Tommy said firmly. "That is what Luna always tells me when I get sad about my legs. She says impossible is just a word people use when they are too scared to try." Marcus stood up and made a decision that would have shocked him just an hour ago. But seeing his son defending this girl, seeing the life she had brought back to his eyes, Marcus knew what he had to do. "Maria, from now on, your salary is doubled. No, tripled. And you and Luna will join us for dinner every night. Not as servants, but as family." Maria gasped. "Mr. Blackwood, we could not. It would not be appropriate." "What is not appropriate," Marcus said firmly, "is that my son's best friend has been sneaking around my house like a criminal. What is not appropriate is that I have been so blind to what was happening under my own roof. Luna, you are welcome in any room of this house. You are Tommy's friend, which makes you important to this family." Tommy let out a whoop of joy and rolled his wheelchair in a circle. "Really, Dad? Luna can really stay? We can be friends for real." "More than that," Marcus said, an idea forming. "Luna, what school do you go to?" "Public School 47, sir," Luna answered. "It is not a very good school, but it is close to our apartment." Marcus knew that school. It was in the poor part of town, overcrowded and underfunded. Meanwhile, Tommy had private tutors who came to the house, the best education money could buy. "Would you like to study with Tommy's tutors? You could come here after your regular school and learn with Tommy. It would help you prepare for medical school someday." Luna's mouth fell open. "Mr. Blackwood, that is too much. We cannot accept such charity." "It is not charity," Marcus said quickly. "Tommy needs someone his own age to study with. The tutors always say he is not engaged, not interested, but I bet if you were here, he would pay attention. You would be helping him as much as he helps you." "She is really smart, Dad," Tommy added eagerly. "Way smarter than me in some subjects. She knows all about history and science. She just needs help with math, and I am good at math." Marcus smiled, a real smile this time. "Then it is settled. Luna, you and your mother will have dinner with us tonight. Mrs. Chen," he called out. The head housekeeper appeared quickly, and Marcus suspected she had been listening from the hallway. "Mrs. Chen, please set 2 extra places for dinner from now on. Maria and Luna will be joining us." Mrs. Chen's usually stern face showed a tiny smile. "Of course, Mr. Blackwood, I will make Tommy's favorite tonight. Chicken and rice, the way Mrs. Catherine used to request it." The mention of his wife made the room quiet for a moment, but it was not the heavy, sad quiet that usually came with her memory. This time it felt different, lighter somehow. "Mom would have loved this," Tommy said softly. "She always said the dining room was too big for just 3 people. She wanted to fill it with friends and laughter." "Then that is what we will do," Marcus said. "We will make this house alive again. Luna, I also want to talk about your future. If you really want to be a doctor, we need to make sure you get the best education possible. There is a private school, Westminster Academy, where Tommy used to go before the accident. They have scholarships for exceptional students. I sit on the board there. I think you would be an excellent candidate." Luna's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they looked like happy tears. "Mr. Blackwood, this is too much. You do not even know me." "I know enough," Marcus said. "I know you saw my son not as a patient or a poor crippled boy, but as a friend. I know you made him laugh when I thought he would never laugh again. I know you have been brave enough to keep coming here even though you were scared of getting in trouble. That tells me everything about your character." Maria stood up suddenly and did something shocking. She hugged Marcus. It was quick and awkward, and she pulled away immediately, looking embarrassed. "I am sorry, Mr. Blackwood. I should not have done that. But you just changed our whole life. Luna studies by candlelight some nights because I cannot always pay the electricity bill. She walks to school with holes in her shoes because I cannot afford new ones, and she never complains. She just says someday she will be a doctor and take care of me." Marcus felt emotion choking his throat. This woman and her daughter had been struggling while he lived in this massive house with more rooms than he could use. He spent more money on one business dinner than Maria made in a month. "No more struggling," he said firmly. "Maria, you and Luna are under my family's protection now. That means good salaries, health insurance, and education. Luna will go to the best schools, have the best tutors, and when the time comes, the best universities. Consider it an investment in the future. Someday, Luna will be a doctor, and she can take care of Tommy when his old father is not around anymore." "Do not say that, Dad," Tommy protested. "You are going to be around forever. But Luna will still be a great doctor. Maybe she will even cure paralysis and I can walk again." "Maybe I will," Luna said, her voice stronger now. "I will study really hard. I will learn everything. And, Tommy, even if I cannot cure paralysis, I will make sure you have the best life possible. Because that is what friends do." The two children looked at each other with such pure friendship that Marcus had to turn away to wipe his eyes. This morning, he had woken up in his city apartment, planning another day of meetings and deals. He had come home early because his instincts told him something was wrong. But instead of finding something wrong, he had found something incredibly right. He had found his son again. Not the broken, quiet boy he had been living with, but the real Tommy, the one who laughed and played and dreamed. As they all moved toward the dining room for dinner, Marcus watched Tommy and Luna talking excitedly about their plans. They would study together every day. Luna would teach Tommy more Spanish. Tommy would help Luna with math. They would read every book in the library. They would apply to the same colleges so they could stay friends forever. Maria walked beside Marcus, still looking dazed by the sudden change in their fortune. "Mr. Blackwood," she said quietly, "I need to ask you something. Why are you really doing this? Rich men do not usually care about their servants' children." Marcus thought about the question. Why was he doing this? Was it guilt? Gratitude? Something else? "Because," he said finally, "that girl gave me back my son. After my wife died, I thought Tommy and I would just exist in this house like ghosts, going through the motions of life but never really living. I threw myself into work because it was easier than facing our pain. But Luna did not see our pain. She just saw a boy who needed a friend. She reminded both of us that life goes on, that joy is still possible even after tragedy." They reached the dining room where Mrs. Chen had already set the table. But it looked different than usual. Instead of the formal place settings at opposite ends of the long table, she had arranged 5 places close together at one end, making it feel cozy and intimate. "This is how Mrs. Catherine preferred it when we had informal dinners," Mrs. Chen explained. "She said eating so far apart made everyone feel lonely." As they sat down, Tommy in his wheelchair between Luna and Marcus with Maria across from them, Marcus felt something he had not felt in 2 years. He felt like he was part of a family again. Not the same family he had before, but a new one, built from unexpected connections and shared joy. The dinner was wonderful. Not just the food, which Mrs. Chen had prepared with extra care, but the conversation. Luna told stories about her grandmother in Mexico who knew how to heal people with herbs. Tommy shared his dreams of working for NASA someday, designing equipment for astronauts with disabilities. Maria talked about her teaching days, the students she still remembered, the joy of watching young minds grow, and Marcus found himself laughing. Really laughing. Not the polite chuckle he used in business meetings, but deep, real laughter that came from his belly. When Luna described how she and Tommy had tried to teach Mrs. Chen's cat to do tricks and the cat had ended up training them instead, Marcus laughed so hard he nearly choked on his water. "This is the best dinner ever," Tommy declared as Mrs. Chen brought out chocolate cake for dessert. "We should do this every night." "We will," Marcus promised. "Every night that I am home, we eat together. And I will be home more often. I have been hiding in my work for too long." After dinner, the children went to the library to look at Tommy's astronomy books. Luna was fascinated by the telescope Tommy had gotten for his birthday but never used. They made plans to look at the stars later, with Luna pushing Tommy's wheelchair out to the garden where they could see the sky better. Marcus and Maria sat in the living room, drinking coffee and watching their children through the open door. "They are good for each other," Maria said softly. "Luna has been lonely too. The kids at her school make fun of her accent and her patched clothes. Tommy is the first real friend she has made in America." "Not anymore," Marcus said firmly. "At Westminster Academy she will make many friends. Smart kids who will appreciate her intelligence and determination. And she will have the best clothes, the best supplies, everything she needs to succeed." Maria shook her head in wonder. "This morning I was worried about making rent. Tonight my daughter's whole future has changed. It does not feel real." "It is real," Marcus assured her, "and it is permanent. I will have my lawyer draw up papers for Luna's education trust. No matter what happens, her education will be paid for through medical school." "Mr. Blackwood," Maria said carefully, "can I tell you something?" Marcus nodded. "The staff, we have all been worried about Tommy. And about you. After Mrs. Catherine died, this house became so sad. We all wanted to help, but did not know how. When Luna and Tommy became friends, we all knew about it. We kept it secret because we could see how happy it made Tommy. I hope you are not angry with the others for not telling you." Marcus was not angry. If anything, he was grateful. His staff had protected his son's happiness when Marcus himself had been too blind to see what Tommy needed. "I am not angry," he said. "I am thankful. You all took care of my son when I could not. When I would not. That ends now. I am going to be the father Tommy deserves and the friend Luna needs." Just then, they heard excited shouting from the library. Marcus and Maria rushed to see what was happening. They found Tommy and Luna at the telescope, which they had moved to the window. "Dad, come look," Tommy called out. Luna found Saturn. "You can actually see the rings." Marcus looked through the telescope, and sure enough there was Saturn in all its glory. But more beautiful than the planet was the sight of his son's excited face, alive with wonder and possibility. "Brilliant, Luna," Marcus said. "You have good eyes." "She has good everything," Tommy said loyally. "She is going to be the best doctor ever, and I am going to be her first patient when she discovers how to fix spinal injuries." "And I will discover it," Luna said with determination. "I will work harder than anyone. I will learn everything. And someday, Tommy will walk again. We will run together. We will climb mountains. We will do everything." Marcus believed her. This girl who had nothing but gave everything to his son, she would do exactly what she promised. She had already performed one miracle, bringing Tommy back to life. Why not another? As the evening ended and Maria and Luna prepared to leave for their apartment, Tommy grabbed Luna's hand. "This was the best day," he said. "Even better than before the accident. Because now I have a best friend." Luna hugged him carefully. "You always had a best friend," she said. "You just had to wait for me to find you." As Marcus watched Maria and Luna walk to their small car, he made a mental note to have a better car delivered to them tomorrow, and to have their apartment checked to make sure it was safe and comfortable, and to send maintenance people to fix anything that needed fixing. He had so much money, more than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. Finally, he had found something worth spending it on. That night, as he tucked Tommy into bed, something he had not done since the accident, his son looked up at him with eyes full of happiness. "Dieter, Dad, thank you for not sending Luna away. Thank you for understanding." Marcus sat on the edge of the bed. "I should be thanking you, son. You taught me something important today. You taught me that family is not just about blood. It is about choosing to love people, choosing to make them part of your life." "Mom would be proud of you," Tommy said sleepily. Marcus kissed his son's forehead. "She would be proud of you too. You fought through your pain and found joy again. You are the strongest person I know." As Tommy drifted off to sleep, Marcus stood in the doorway for a moment, watching his son's peaceful face. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Tommy still could not walk. The therapy would continue. The struggles would remain. But now they would not face those struggles alone. They had Luna and Maria. They had a family again. Walking to his own bedroom, Marcus paused at the portrait of Catherine that hung in the hallway. "I found him again," he whispered to the painting. "Our boy is going to be okay. He has a friend who sees him the way you always did, perfect exactly as he is." The house felt different as Marcus prepared for bed. The silence was no longer empty but full of possibility. Tomorrow, Luna would come after school. The house would fill with laughter again. There would be homework at the dining table and stories in the library and stargazing in the garden. There would be life again in this house that had been dying of grief. As Marcus closed his eyes, he thought about the moment he had walked into the living room. The shock of seeing his paralyzed son playing like any other child. The fear that had turned to anger, that had turned to understanding. That moment when he saw Tommy's joy and realized that the title of billionaire meant nothing compared to the title of father. He had walked in without warning, expecting to find something wrong. Instead, he had found something absolutely right. A girl in a yellow dress had been carrying his son on her back, but really she had been carrying the whole family toward healing. What his son and the maid's daughter were doing had indeed left him speechless, but not for the reasons he first thought. They were not doing anything wrong. They were doing something beautiful. They were showing that friendship does not care about money or status or physical ability. They were proving that love comes in many forms, and sometimes from the most unexpected places. Marcus fell asleep that night not thinking about his business empire or his billions of dollars. He thought about two children laughing on a carpet. He thought about a girl brave enough to befriend a lonely boy. He thought about a mother willing to risk her job for her daughter's happiness. He thought about second chances and new beginnings. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow, when he came home, there would be voices calling out greetings. There would be children's backpacks by the door and homework on the table. There would be life and noise and beautiful chaos. There would be family. The billionaire had walked in without warning, and what he found changed everything. Not just for his son and the maid's daughter, but for himself. He had walked in as Marcus Blackwood, billionaire. He would wake up tomorrow as something much more important. A father who had learned to see with his heart instead of his wallet. A man who understood that the greatest wealth could not be counted in dollars but in moments of pure, unexpected joy.